Congratulations on your engagement. In this video, we're going to show you how to protect your future spouse so they can get their green card. Coming up.
Hi, this is Kai with the Kai One team, helping you better understand everything you need to know about New York City real estate. Today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Steve Maggi from SMA Law Firm. He's an immigration attorney here in New York City. How are you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing great, Kai. Thanks a lot for the invite.
Thank you for being here. Can you share a little bit about yourself to us?
Sure, absolutely. I'm an immigrant myself, just like you. I came here when I was 5.
Okay.
Grew up in New York, and decided to dedicate my professional life to helping other immigrants maneuver this very complex immigration system.
Okay.
Our law firm's been around for 15 years. We do all things immigration, and our chief focus is working with foreign entrepreneurs and companies that are launching here in the U.S.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
It's great to be here.
So, we have a lot of foreign national clients, right, where they're looking to move here, whether for work, for living, for family. So some of them, they're actually marrying people that are either born or nationalized in the United States. Is there any things that they have to be aware of, or any options that they need to be concerned with to make sure that they're getting their green cards as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to keep in consideration here that the administration now is looking for fraud.
Okay.
There are unfortunately fraudulent cases that are submitted, and that makes the standard that much higher in terms of proving that you're in what's called a bona fide relationship.
Okay.
And there are two kinds of processes. There's consular processing, and there's adjustment of status, depending on where the foreign national is.
Okay, so what's the first one, consular?
Consular processing means that the foreign national that has married the U.S. citizen or that will is living abroad, and that when the petition is approved, they will process their immigrant visa outside the United States.
Got it. And the second option?
The second option is called adjustment of status. What that means is that the individual that's marrying the U.S. citizen is in the U.S., and they go through what's called an adjustment process, which allows them to then get legal permanent resident status.
So for the first option, the consular, do they also have to be married in their home country as well?
So essentially all you need to do is get married one time in a legal way. So we're not talking about a religious ceremony. Like you have, for example, in India, you have traditional ceremonies that are civil, but they're not considered legal.
Okay.
You have to make sure that whatever ceremony you go through is a legal and binding marriage. No matter where it is, that will be recognized by the U.S. government. So you can marry your foreign national spouse in the U.S., or you can marry them anywhere in the world as long as it's done according to the laws of the country you're getting married.
In terms of the person applying, do they need to be married before they speak with you? Or when do they apply with for their green card? Is it before or after the marriage?
Our ideal client is talking to us as they're planning after they're engaged.
Okay.
And they're letting us know where the foreign national is, if they can possibly be in the U.S., if they're already in the U.S.
Okay.
And if it's possible for them to get married outside the U.S. Sometimes the U.S. citizen is not able to travel. And so the foreign national needs to come to the U.S. Sometimes the foreign national doesn't have a visa, so it's very case specific.
Okay.
But we would like to know approximately 2 months before they get married so we can provide immigration service with the strongest petition possible. And since they get anxious after they're married to start the process and know that they're en route to getting their immigrant visa or to adjusting status, we need those 2 months or so to really have it ready. So as soon as we have a copy of the marriage certificate, we can submit the case and they're processing.
Is it the same for the consul versus option number 2 as well? Or is it still 2 months, or is it a different time frame for each
No,
one?
for us to process the cases, it's 2 months for approximately to do them really well. We do things in a way, I call it 3-dimensional. So we bring in evidence that other immigration lawyers generally don't, and that immigration service doesn't require. Like photo presentations that are chronological, and letters from friends and family that tell stories and anecdotes and add a third dimension to really prove that it's a legitimate relationship.
Got it.
In terms of processing times, you're looking at about a year in either direction.
Okay.
But the most important thing that we didn't talk about yet is what's called the 90-day rule.
Okay. What's that?
What that means is that if you come to the U.S., let's say on a tourist visa, and then you marry your future spouse, you become husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife and wife in this case, right? Because now it's equal opportunity.
Of course.
If you get married within 90 days of entering the U.S., the government can infer that you had what's called previous immigrant intent, and they can deny your case.
Okay.
We had a consultation where the client had that happen. Then they came to us. They had done it with another attorney, and they had to go home. We had to resubmit the case, and then they had to wait a year outside the U.S.
Okay.
Because once you've demonstrated immigrant intent, they're not going to let you get a visa to come to the U.S. And so it's very dangerous. So if the spouse is coming here on a non-immigrant or temporary visa, and then they get married to a U.S. citizen, they should do it after 90 days. And also they should be very careful about social media.
What do you mean by that?
So let's say, for example, your future spouse is in Romania, and she puts on Facebook that you're getting married on June 2nd, and she arrives on the 1st of June. And they look at that and they see that the intent was there to get married before she entered the U.S. Or even if it was 90 days, past 90 days in the U.S., but there's a previous record online that the intent was there, then you might not qualify for the actual green card.
Wow, so social media actually plays a very big, part on this then.
Yeah, so I tell people, no matter how enthusiastic they are about their future plans, if they're planning to come to the U.S. and getting married after 90 days, in order to not be subject to the 90-day rule, they need to keep it quiet.
Okay.
Because that's protecting their spouse's future, and that's really important. That's the objective here, right? To provide the strongest case possible, analyze case by case, and make sure that you're handling all the steps correctly to avoid problems.
Got it. So just to recap, what are the things that we discussed today?
Well, there are two kinds of processes. There's consular processing, which means the foreign national is outside the U.S. You have to be married when you submit the petition, so they get married in any part of the world, and then the foreign national waits outside to get immigrant visa.
Okay.
And then you have adjustment of status, which means the foreign national is in the U.S. on a temporary visa and is changing to permanent resident status.
Got it. And then the time frame it takes again?
It takes approximately a year for either process, but you have to make sure if you're doing adjustment that you're applying the 90-day rule, which adds more time to the total process, meaning you have to wait 90 days before you get married, and then you start the process.
Got it. And also, what's the three dimensions that you mentioned again?
I think it's very important, if you love your spouse or future spouse, that you don't present just a wedding photo and some forms. Because at some point, either at a consular interview at the embassy when your spouse goes to the interview, or an adjustment of status interview in the US, you will have to prove that your marriage is legitimate and wasn't entered into for immigration purposes. And the best way to do that, to safeguard your spouse, is to present a three-dimensional case with letters from friends and family, photos, and any other evidence that clearly documents the entire chronology of your relationship. So when you get to the interview, there's no chance of denial.
Okay. And then you also mentioned social media.
In order to avoid the intention that they are looking for, this immigrant intent, or an excuse to deny a case, you have to be very careful what information you're sharing online that's open to the public.
Yeah.
Because you can rest assured that an immigration officer will Google the names, and they will look at Facebook and other social media to make sure that it's a legitimate relationship, that there's not signs that it's arranged or prefabricated, because that's the chief reason for denial.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share all that information with us. I think it's very helpful, and also for the foreign national to really know what to look out for in terms of the process. I mean, obviously, they're engaged now, they're very happy and excited, but you just gotta make sure you check off all the boxes first.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kai. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. On this channel, we share with you buying, selling tips, market updates, and neighborhood guides. If you have any questions in terms of what we talked about, or any topics you want us to cover in a future video, please leave it in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.